In the studio this week is our other Republican candidate for the 17th Congressional District, and that is Julie Bicklehaupt. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing good.
Good. I'm so glad the weather's better for you to be out and about in this.
Yeah, the sun's out.
Yeah.
That's an advantage right now. So hopefully it gets warmer here.
Traveling the district for sure. Julie, tell us about an upcoming event today that I want to make sure people are aware of since you're in town.
Sure. Yes. Having an event at Mex on Main, a meet and greet. It's from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. So anybody that can come out and I'll introduce myself to you, and I'd like to meet a lot of people in this area. So if you got time, I would appreciate you stopping by.
Okay, that's again this afternoon, 4:30 to 6 o'clock at Mex on Main at 201 North Main Street. Julie, you're going to speak about 5:15 at that event. You're going to tell us probably a lot about your platform and the goals under that platform umbrella. Tell us all about it.
Sure. So under the platform in which I'm running, obviously I'm a seventh generation farmer. So I have grown up on a farm, and I've lived in the district for 27 years farming here with my husband as well. So agriculture is definitely on the forefront of that campaign platform, something that I seriously am ingrained in and would really like to make sure policy circles and encompasses so that next generation farms and the economy around farming in areas like this have a future that we all want to see happen. And as we know, agriculture is also a source of our national security in making sure we have food sources that are available and are available to purchase and not overpriced. So that's important to us all, really, in the 17th District. Secondly, cost of living, obviously, that is another thing that, as a farmer, but as just any everyday person going to work, coming home, household, kids, those cost of living has gone up, and energy costs have really been through the roof. And as I like to talk to people, that energy cost is kind of a domino effect. When energy costs are high, trucking's high. When trucking's high, food costs are high. In order to produce products, obviously we have to have fuels and electricity to do that, and it really just amplifies all of that. So really finding a way to unleash some American energy and find all sources to do that most responsibly and to create economic valued energy and keep that afloat is important, and it's important for all those reasons and the cost of living. Healthcare along in that as well is an important portion of that. Clearly, our healthcare system has, as it was written, has really been a disservice to residents. It's a failing system. We need a lot of changes and policy changes, potentially a revamping of the whole system. But people are paying way too much. And at this point, our free market system, even within the healthcare system, we've kind of lost that, which was another reason why I feared when we went into the ACA program that we would lose some of that free market, and it's proven to be true. We really lack very many companies we can even pick from. So that's an issue, and we need to figure out how do we return that to having options and not being just stuck with whatever is in front of us and the high costs that encompass that. Lastly, I guess I'll go real quick, was education, empowering parents. I went through public school. I homeschooled my kids, and my kids went to a Christian school. So I understand how the wide variety of schooling options, and that many kids need different options depending on what they're doing or how they learn. And parents need different options too. So having that availability, and then also just empowering parents in things like making sure that boys stay out of girls' locker rooms. I mean, simple facts, simple moral issues that just say, hey, we must align and understand that that's not the place for this. And I really do feel the need to stand up for that.
Okay. Julie, let's break down those platforms a little bit with some more details. Let's start with agriculture. Right now, we have the E10 second ethanol market that we're concerned with. It did not make it through recently in Congress, but February 26th, there's supposed to be more discussion. And tariffs. Tell us about what you've heard from your ag constituents.
Yes, through the ethanol blended fuels, it's important to basically open up more markets into agriculture, and that's something that I did talk with Illinois Corn a little bit about this and how that affects farmers. That's definitely a market that could help out the commodity, the amount of commodities we have in reserve, or going forward what we'll have. And then there's other possibilities for markets, but that did not go through at the time. Going forward, I know there's a lot of conversation. I know this has been a conversation that's also been going on for a very long time. But in moving forward for people who farm, who grow corn, and would be creating some ethanol, it'd definitely be an opportunity of a market that we need to work at looking how to open that up a little bit more and create more of a market there for corn growers.
Okay. And you being a farmer, you know what the costs are, especially with the inputs. And right now we got a frozen Mississippi River, too, all the way down, actually.
Yeah, it's
from
pretty solid out there right now.
Minnesota to Louisiana.
Yeah.
We need some warm weather.
Yes.
All right. Cost of living and energy prices. Break that down. What have you heard from your constituents as well?
Obviously, I just think you can resoundingly hear the cost of living. And like I said, I can attest to energy costs being up and how much they've gone up. And, through some of the fees, requirements, red tape, and then you throw in the requirements that were placed on us through the Green New Deal on different sources of energy. It kind of tied down some old sources of energy, including coal. There are a lot of options out there that provide us with energy, and I think we need to look at them all, and we need to look at them collectively. Obviously, coal is actually one of our main sources of energy, and nuclear, I think, is right behind that. But you got natural gas. We really need to pay attention to what actually is serving us and supplement with the others, and realize that's how it's going to work, and then build policy on top of that that makes that understood and serves those industries most responsibly.
Do you think the changeover to fossil fuel plants coming offline in the future, do you think that's having an impact on energy crisis? I shouldn't say crisis, but energy costs being higher?
Yeah, absolutely. The cutback in fossil fuel usage has definitely played a role, probably a large role, in the fact that energy costs have gone up. We need to definitely look at how do we sustain those. The requirements to become less coal dependent actually pushed a lot of coal mines into shutting down early coal plants, because they thought, well, if I'm going to have to be closed down by X amount of years, I'm not going to put more money into this. I'm going to close down. So it actually took off the grid a lot of power that we should potentially have at this time, and we don't anymore. So it's definitely something we've got to look at, and how do we get that back up and going. And as I've heard, Illinois is one of the cleanest coal burning areas in the country. And now, because we lack the sources of energy we need, we're actually pulling coal-powered energy out of other states that have less clean burning coal. So if we're looking for clean, we've really kind of turned it around, and now we're actually not doing that. So that's concerning. We have to look at the facts and really pick through that and do things that are logical and common sense.
That's why we were hoping that E15 was going to get through, because that was a bipartisan support issue, that people thought about the clean burning fuel of ethanol as a supplement or an additive or an addition to our fuel. And darn it, it didn't make it through.
Right.
Okay, healthcare. Let's talk about that for a moment. Goodness gracious, that is on everybody's mind, because it is very expensive. It's been growing expense-wise for American families for 20 years. Yep. The employer has trouble being able to pay these premiums because the hikes are so high. Each year you talk locally with folks, and it's anywhere from 11 to 28% this year for whatever reason. Don't even know the reasons. Could you shed some light on why?
From the research I've done and the things that I've been given information on, those costs are up obviously, in post-COVID or around COVID, the increased subsidies went into place in order to help through that time. What didn't happen is they did not return to a pre-COVID subsidy situation. Now, like I said, I feel that the system has been failing from the beginning, and then it just happened to be a timeline in which then that created a problem as well. We really have to pay attention to that and realize that that's an issue, and those subsidies really have been feeding the pockets of a lot of insurance companies on the backside because of how those subsidies are applied to the insurance companies, and then your middle pharmaceutical management individuals. I mean, that's been an issue, and how those pharmaceuticals and how they're priced and how they go out to other individuals. And there's even shutting down small pharmaceuticals like the one that's in my town. And yes, I've seen that increase in price too. As a county board chair, every year we have to do our budget and renegotiate prices and that increase. And it's significant. It's significant there. It's significant in my own business and my own life. And we really need to figure out what ways can we fix this and how can we make changes to the program as a whole. I've even heard doctors and nurse practitioners that I talk to refer to how it's just a failing system and it's really not serving the people properly because how it's set up and the money management of that.
Okay. Gosh, I hope that gets fixed.
Me
that
too.
healthcare. So yeah,
We need something.
because we're at the age where it costs a lot of money to get insured when you don't have the ability to get insurance elsewhere.
Yes.
Okay, and finally, tell people a little bit about yourself. We got a couple of minutes left, Julie. Just tell people a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, I grew up on a farm down in Bond County, so south of here. Went to the University of Illinois. I actually ended up graduating at Eastern in a foods and business major with a business minor. I took that back home. Decided to, instead of kind of work off the farm, we increased our acres. My husband's insurance agent, so he's doing that quite a bit. I could chase around my kids, and I decided we were going to farm a little more. So that's primarily what I've done. Honestly, anything from tillage. We used to tag team farm. I would do tillage. He would come back and plant, and then of course at harvest I'd run the semi and the grain system. And so I've graduated out of that. I don't semi anymore. My son does that. He likes to do that. And I got the combine, which I have discovered is actually the best place to be that time of year because I would freeze unloading trucks frequently in this northern Illinois atmosphere. So that's kind of where we've moved along to. But yes, 3 kids, doing great. Really just have enjoyed living in this area and farming in this area. And it's much different than farming in the southern part of Illinois. So
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, and remind people where they can see you today.
Yes, Mex on Main, 4:30 to 6. Come along and come out and see us. And you can always check out my information too on julieforillinois.com for a website. Feel free to check me out, but I would love to see you today and shake your hand. It'll be a good time.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Julie Bicklehaupt with us. She is also on the ballot for the Republican candidacy for 17th Congressional District coming up March 17th.